Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to video 5.4. Where are we going? We're going to Russia, but we're not going to go too fast. So, from 1462 to 1505, Ivan III ruled. He's well known for conquering lands and liberating Russia from control of Mongolia, and he's going to centralize the government. One, two, three. Those would be the three things Ivan III is known for. Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, he became a ruler at 3. As a result, a group of people known as boyars, land-owning nobles, tried to control Ivan. By age 16, he gets control for himself and crowns himself Czar, which literally means Caesar. He married into the Romanov family. 1547 to 1560 are referred to as the good period, when he was adding land, writing laws, and ruling fairly. All right? So he's got a good phase, and you know if there's a good phase, there's going to be a bad phase. Again, 1533 is about the time he really fully consolidates power after struggling with the boyars, and he names himself Czar, which means Caesar. In 1560, we start to see his rule by terror. He starts to kill and seize the lands of the boyars, of the nobles. All right? What do we mean by his bad period? His wife died, and he really convinced Anastasia was poisoned. He organized a special police force whose jobs were to hunt down his enemies and kill them. They wore black, they rode black horses, and a new class of nobles were created totally loyal to Ivan. And here's the real tragic part. During an argument with his eldest son, he killed his oldest son. It's a personal tragedy, and it is also a national tragedy for Russia because the son that he killed was his son that was going to be qualified to rule. His son that was left over um, was kind of a dumpski. He was a dunderhead. He was not a capable leader. The time became known as the Time of Troubles. A new leader was chosen, Michael Romanov, the grandnephew of Ivan the Terrible's wife. The Romanov family will rule Russia for the next 300 years. The most important ruler of this time period is Peter the Great. Um, and he's going to make a ton of reforms. So what are some of the, that's annoying. What are some of the differences between Russia and Western Europe? Who they look to for leadership, their experiences during the Age of Exploration, the geography, and this issue of a port will come back up again. And religious difference. Most of Russia is Eastern Orthodox. So Peter the Great becomes Tsar in 1696. He reforms Russia. He has a different challenge because Russia is so different than the rest of Europe. He takes control of the church, reduces the power of the landowners, modernized the army, made it a lifelong job. He puts in 200,000 men in the military and raised taxes to pay for it. What else did he do to westernize? He introduced the potato to Russia, started the first newspaper. He improved women's status. He ordered the nobles to give up their traditional clothing for Western fashion. Notice, Western, Western, Western. He wanted Russia to become more like the rest of Europe. He advanced schools by opening schools for navigation. So he's doing his little Prince Henry thing here. Introduced schools for arts and sciences. So here he's doing his Louis XIV thing. Here he's doing his Descartes thing. He also outlawed beards and made a new calendar. Why did this happen? Because in 1697, Peter visited Western Europe to learn their ideas. And he saw how far he was behind. And his eyes were opened wide. And he's like, OMG, Europe is so much better than we are. So he starts using Western as a model for change. Again, church, landowners, army. Church, landowners, army. Potato, newspaper, women, fashion, education. So what is he doing? He's trying to catch Russia up. They were behind. They started at the bottom. Had to be done. One of the most important things is he wanted a seaport. Because what did we say earlier? Over half the year, many of the seaports would freeze. So he fights Sweden to win a port on the Baltic Sea, and he gets the land and he begins building a new capital city called St. Petersburg. How did he come up with the name? Building the city takes a long time. Numerous deaths happen. By the time he's dead, Russia is a force in the world. All right? This port gives Russia a window onto Europe. It's estimated as many as 100,000 serfs died for during the construction. It becomes the capital of Russia. You notice it looks very English. Here you see the Palace Square. To me, that almost looks a little Versailles-esque. Church of the Savior on Split Blood. This is St. Petersburg. See if you can answer these. Good period. After his wife dies. Bad period. Here's the picture of him killing his son. Again, we've talked about the differences. Peter the Great is 6'7". He'd make a nice NBA power forward. Write that word 3 times. All right, guys, we're done.